a.m. We continue with news and views this morning, and we've seen a media release come through with regard to the reopening of the Imam Abdullah Haron Inquest. Now, 53 years later, after the murder of the late Imam Abdullah Haron, rahimahullah, the family has still got a lot of issues that need to be sorted out, and also at the same time, still getting to grips and understanding what had actually happened. And joining us this morning is the brother of the late Imam Abdullah Haron, rahimahullah, his brother, Professor Muhammed Haron. Professor Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm the son, not the brother. Sorry.
Oh, okay. My apologies. My producer, obviously, obviously, you're young enough to be the son, mashallah. Right. Prof,
Okay.
let's talk about this press release because this decision by the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola, is a welcome decision because looking at the family, I mean, 53 years later, there still remains many unanswered questions.
Yes, no, indeed. I think there are sort of so many that you sometimes don't want to even raise them at all at this point in time, knowing that it's 53 years since. But I think the concern has also been the way our ministry has responded, in a sense that there has not really been communication between the ministry and directly with families. And so, even on that level, we have been raised concerns. But be that as it may, I think it has eventually reached our attention, and we were informed. And so, there were two types of responses, if one may sort of look at it. One was that, I mean, as you indicated, 53 years since, it's a very long time. It's it's half a century ago, and why only at this point in time? Then on the other hand, of course, we also feel that as children, myself and my two sisters, we feel at least the time has come maybe to get some sort of answer or response to the issue. After all, we thought it would happen prior to our mother's demise in 2019, more on the same day that our father was buried 50 years ago. But that was not to be. So, nonetheless, I think it's an issue that we feel not only as a family but also as a community. We need to know some of the truth, if not the whole truth.
Exactly. And also, Prof, when one talks about the truth and the revelation of the truth, this is absolutely important. This is critical because without truth, there can be no closure.
Indeed, indeed, yeah, yeah. Well, of course, yeah. As you say, yes, no closure. Even though we just might only get partial closure, I think that's sort of also acceptable in the circumstances. But it's also for the community. As I said, I mean, though we, of course, are the ones that were sort of sort of affected, but the community that he had served as imam were also affected traumatically and in different ways. And so I think it brings some sort of closure to all of them. The problem also that we have is that all those who were implicated in the murder, your Major Khanas and others, they are no more, and so we can't really um, basically take them, so to speak, to task in court, in public. So in a sense, we're dealing with ghosts, so to speak, people who have died, but we come up with evidence, and of course, hopefully, our lawyers, the Weber Wenzel, that sort of are assisting in this process, have been able to bring in experts to basically assist just to prove that whatever the inquest findings brought to fore way back in 1970 were totally false, were totally unacceptable. So yeah, so in a sense, we looking forward towards this whole process.
Well, it is obviously it's going to be quite a process because when one looks at what had happened with the late Ahmed Timol as well, and also in terms of what the family had have been put through regarding that inquest, and I'm sure just looking ahead at the inquest that's going to take place with regards to your marhum father, the likes of the NPA, the SAPS, and a lot is actually coming to the fore. Just looking at the process from here onwards. What are some of the options?
Well, firstly, I think I think our lawyers have done their bit to gather as much information as they could, and that's the reason why the inquest has been opened, partly because of what has been gathered. The NPA itself has come on board with whatever they could also put together, as well as the SAPES. So, in others, all of these the sort of all these stakeholders, in a sense, have their ducks in a row, if I may sort of put it in that way. And so one looks forward to how they are going to sort of put all of these in front of Judge Tulare, who has been the appointed person. For us as a family, we individually, of course, I mean, I was pretty young, 13 at the time when he was killed, and my sister, my younger sister, was only 6. My elder sister was not around. She was already in Britain, but she hopefully will also be joining us, inshallah, for this event. So we have been able to put our thoughts together, of course, individually, and hopefully with whatever we could recollect and whatever they alongside that of the lawyers and NPA, as well as the SAPS. We hope to basically have all the necessary information just to demonstrate to what extent whatever was stated in the 1970 inquest basically was basically false, and in that way hopefully prove that he was killed by the security branch.
And also, Professor Mohammed, just looking at time frames and looking at timelines, because
Mm.
one would not like this matter to drag on for far too long. How much information is available to make absolutely sure that the inquest obviously takes place fairly and justly, but also at the same time, as soon as possible, because sometimes the longer these things take, the more painful they become.
Well, I think that remains a challenge, partly because it has been. I mean, 53 years. It's a long period, and evidence, and in fact, some of the information that we might wanted to have gathered are not around. Information are not to be. I do recall our when the TRC took place, we never went to the TRC, as you know, but the TRC still appointed a special investigator to pursue our father's case, Senzile Khoisan. And unfortunately, Senzile came up against a brick wall uh, for several reasons. And I think hopefully at our forthcoming uh, Imam Harun Foundation panel, which will take place at the Irtiqa Awqaf UWC Congress next week, that is on the 17th. We hope that he will participate and basically share with us some of this, but I think to the public, but to us, he basically, or had revealed to what extent the problems he had encountered, even by as a result of political interference. So all of these irks ones, it angers one, it basically disheartens one, partly because on the one hand, you thought you were in a democratic society your where those freedom fighters and others who have found their way into politics will open the doors, but it seems that they've shut the doors rather than open them. And so these are some of the sort of issues that we had encountered more than 2 decades ago. I mean, now we're sitting 53 years down the line, trying to still unravel some of these. And but nonetheless, despite all of these sort of challenges, we are hopeful that something will come up. That, in other words, that the judge will be able to give a different verdict, and maybe take it from there. So yes, we are hopeful that there will be evidence will come to the fore, and that we will basically get some idea of sort of what actually happened based on the evidence. And of course, as you know, also that lots of documents were classified, so these were have now been made available to the lawyers, and so hopefully, we will sort of get somewhere.
Well, inshallah, we certainly hope, Prof. Jazakallah so
Yeah.
much for coming on and talking to us this morning here on Salam Media. We will follow developments as they progress. For now, we wish all the best to you and the family. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for the opportunity.
The son of the late Imam Abdullah Haron, rahimahullah, Professor Muhammed Haron. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.